Keep your hips broad and keep your trunk tall, very tall, even from this pelvic region. Low down, pull up from the pelvis, pull it back, pull up from that lowest spine. Shoulders back, shoulder blades down. Close your eyes then. Make yourself quiet. Inside and out. Join your palms and take this moment as a reminder, remembrance of all the teachers who have come before, going back and especially to the root teacher, potentially. And bow to this teacher and release your hands. Raise your head up and open your eyes. So, Adho Mukha Virasana first. That's the pose where you sit with your toes together and knees apart. So you're sitting on the heels with the knees wide. Feel free to pad between the heels and the buttocks if needed, if those knees require. It's not a requirement to the pose, but your knees may ask for it. Then you take support in front. It could be blankets or a bolster, but you want some height so that you can rest your trunk. You just need to rest your sternum. That's the requirement, but it's optional to bring the support lower down to the abdomen if that feels reasonable to you. So leaving the buttocks resting, you come forward and lengthen the trunk as you come down onto your support. Now you can rest on your forehead or your shin, forehead or chin, and stretch your arms forward after you become comfortable. And after a few moments, go forward again. Now, come up, please, sitting back on your heels. And then turn yourselves to face the camera in Virasana with whatever kind of support makes sense to you. You're going to be upright with the shins and knees together. It's for what we call Vajrasana. So shins together, shins, knees, feet together, and then you sit. So with or without a blanket, that's your option, but those lower leg bones are running parallel to each other. And we'll be here just a few minutes, so make sure that you are in fact comfy. Sit straight. Take your arms down to your sides. So maybe your fingertips touch the floor, maybe they don't. Don't reach for them, don't compress this shoulder girdle on the rib cage to do that. In fact, do the opposite. From that fingertip position, lift your ribs up. Come up tall through this rib cage into the top chest. At the same time, stretch your arms straight. So if they run into the floor here before straightening, move them out so they straighten. Sit your buttocks on your heels. Lift your trunk up tall. And take these arms, I'm turning sideways now, and take these arms back from the shoulder itself. Take the arms back. Now don't throw your chest and spine forward. Keep it upright and stretch the arms. Now, moving from the shoulder, can you move the arm back farther? Like this shoulder is coming back without punching the rib cage forward. Can you move the shoulder back? Move the arm back from the shoulder. Still coming up tall through the chest. Now, raise the arms to horizontal in line with your shoulders and stretch out laterally. Push your shoulder blades in back away from each other. When those shoulder, if you see what's going on in my neck, when you push those shoulder blades away from each other, there is a spread. Now, some of you, the hands are below the shoulders. This is going to make trouble with that spread or the comfort of it. So if anything, come a little above horizontal and then push that spread between the shoulder blades spread. Now turn from this shoulder blade, arm anchoring, turn your arms up and spread again and lift again out of your buttock bones and up you come. Urdhva Hastasana. Pull up tall, sitting the buttocks down. Now, if your palms are facing each other, that means the pinky finger and the outer elbow and the outer part, or it might even seem like the back of the arm, the triceps, is facing me. Roll it more toward your face. Roll that triceps more and pull up tall. Interlock your fingers, turn your palms up and push your elbows straight up, up, buttocks down, and down you come. Okay, so we now have ourselves 1, 2, 3, 3.5, and 4 positions. Yes, down with that whole shoulder open back, with the arms to the sides and with that rotation for palms up, and then Urdhva Hastasana. Got it? Forearm positions. Blankets away. Just one of those arm positions, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So put those palms on the floor, put those feet on the floor. Now keep the shoulder blades, shoulder sockets toward the back, and keep the shoulder blade down as if you were pulling with that back arm, but you don't have the arm to help, you just got the shoulder blade. Now you come up and stretch your knees and push with the hands. Push the ribs up slope toward your hips. Push the ribs, push the shoulder blades. Some of you might need to open the distance between the hands and feet. And you need to stretch your legs completely. This is the first the legs have been extended so far. So make the most of it. From the ankle bones, move backward toward the heel, toward the Achilles. Move the shin back, move the thigh back. Raise the hips more, push tall, push tall. See, I've gone and forgot it, but Linda's sister needs to put more space between the hands and feet. Walk your hands forward toward the feet back. Even further, sister, even, yes. Now that gives you more space in the trunk, I think. That's what it looks like to me. Now, I can't see your heels, but raise them higher. And then not walk them in, raise them up. And that means most of you can walk your feet further back. Further, you rest when you need to. I'm just talking here, make corrections. You stay if you can, come out if you need to. Stretch those arms overhead like you did in Urdhva Hastasana. Stretch those forearms. Get the shoulder blades into the back ribs and the armpits open. Okay, come out now. Come to Uttanasana, standing forward bend with the feet hip width apart, just in line with the hips. And you fold forward. Now, if you have stiffness, you get bricks underneath your hands, so there is some kind of support. Maybe even a chair if you need a chair. Now with your feet parallel, hip width apart, keep the heel on the floor now. And take a mental iron pressing device against your calves and see if you can roll and massage that back calf from the knee to the heel. So your hands don't do it. You don't have a tool to do it with. But your muscles, that tension in the calf, has to relax so that the muscle lets go downward. Let the muscle relax so the heel becomes more and more firm. And when you get that, press the thigh back, lengthen the trunk forward, away from the groins. So your arms become straight. That's why you're on some form of height, most of you. And out of that length of the leg, move the front abdomen and pelvis away from the thighs, not just the ribs. but the pubis to navel stretch should move toward the ribs. And when you get some extension there, release it, pacify it, and then you can bend your elbows and let your spine down. You can bend your elbows, keep those legs stretching. Now, if there is lots of tension in the back, you continue supporting with your hands on bricks. Raise the bricks as high, or get a chair as high as necessary to keep yourself comfortable, and continue examining your actions and your experience of your action to deepen the extension of the leg. Now, come up, hands to the hips, prepare to come up, and then you're up. Now, do you all have a chair available? A chair. I see chairs, but I'm not sure I see enough chairs. You need a chair that you can sit on. An actual, not a stool, not just something to put your fingers on, but a chair. Oh, and by the way, it may be that with you all developing a home practice as you are, it may be that you have a need for chairs. A kind, Ann Schultz's husband very kindly took the backs out of some chairs and has made them available to you. So I'm telling you, I've got chairs if you need a folding backless chair for your yoga practice. So you can text me or contact me after class. I don't want to take time to do business now, but you've got props available if you're missing a chair. Otherwise, get something that serves for a chair. You can pad it with a sticky mat, or if you don't have a spare sticky mat, don't worry. It's just meant to be a non-skid surface. So, first we stand in Tadasana, just plain old Tadasana. The chair is coming. Stand straight. Now, we've discussed the stretch of the legs, in particular, making sure that calf goes to the heel. So make sure the calf goes to the heel. And then actively, this isn't a passive letting go and just sort of sagging down. There is now from the hip socket an active reaching down to the floor through that hamstring. If it bothers your knees, like they're too firm, too tight pressing back, don't stand on the back of the heel so much as the front of the heel. If you see where my finger is pointing there. If you see this lower leg bone coming down to the floor toward the front heel, so you want to move through that shin bone line down to the front heel. It works the same on the inside, front heel from the ankle bone. So don't try to push back in Tadasana to the back of the heel. You want to be pretty vertically on that heel. So admittedly, it's not the easiest thing to kind of coordinate if your legs have funny habits, but don't pressurize the knees. That's a good piece of advice there. Don't make them hurt. Stretch from that hip joint down to the heel, and then from the front pelvis, come up. Now stretch your arms, Tadasana. Lift your chest. From the stretch of the legs, lift the chest. Then take the arms back. Remember, position 2. Lifting the chest. Then 3. Arms horizontal, not behind you, but they're back in the plane of the shoulders. And then you spin from the armpits and take your arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. I have to kneel to, oh, Captain King. Interlock your fingers and stretch your palms to the ceiling. Don't worry about adjusting your camera. Just make yourself narrow and tall. Make a big stretch. And release the hands, change the interlock, stretch up again. And make your hips narrow with the stretch of the legs. Trunk narrow with the lengthening of the ribs, and arms long. And exhale, come out. Now, maybe you want a brick. You don't need 2, but you're going to shift it from one side to the other. Sit with your right thigh on the chair with the inner edge of the thigh parallel to the chair. Also, your foot parallel to the chair. Then you can take this brick and put it on the instep side of your foot. Then, in line with your right foot and inner thigh, lean back and stretch your back heel. So, you people with hip problems, I don't know who you are, but you may be in this class. If you are, your foot can come forward until the groins manage this work. So they come back into the line of the front heel. That left leg comes back in line with the front heel if it does not disturb this front thigh. So resting my elbow on the knee can help that. But eventually your leg has to learn to manage itself. Now for a moment, I'm just gonna look at you. Yeah, sister, are you doing okay? The hip there. Put your elbow on your knee. So lean your trunk over. And it'll make it somewhat easier to get that back leg to extend. And if it's giving you pains and troubles, as I say, you may be able, instead of having the feet in line, you move that back foot forward and see if it relieves you. If you're doing it, okay, we'll proceed. Okay, this is all by itself a rather important position here. Stretch back. Stretch first from the calf to the heel, front heel if you can figure that one out. And this is both legs, both calves, both heels. Be there for a bit. Sit on the right buttock. Only 40% of you is watching the screens. 60% of you is back in your mind examining your own experience. So you want this front leg to feel like it's able to lengthen forward from the groin toward the knee, and this back leg to stretch back from the groin to the heel. Your front heel stays down, back heel down. Now, pushing with your elbow or your hand, come up off this elbow and start bringing your trunk upright. It might make it happier coming upright if you lengthen your stance. Move the back heel further back, making more space across the hips. Might make it easier, somewhat easier for you to be upright. Do you notice over here, when you just got started, the hips were in a certain condition. So as you spend time and stretch the legs, that back heel can move and you can sit more upright, like Virabhadrasana 2. Yeah, stretch your arms. Push into your back heel. Good. Come back down. Then come onto your brick. Now, if those feet are too wide apart, it's okay. Bring the foot back in so you have comfort. And push hard on that forearm. And sit on your right hip. Push through the left heel and lift your trunk towards your head. Lift the right side of the trunk out of the hip. And turn your trunk. Maybe catch the chair behind you. Remember that back arm stretch in Shalabhasana. Roll the shoulder back. Lift your trunk toward your chest. Now release the arm, take it to vertical, and turn it, and overhead you go. Now that top arm is pulling your top side. Push with the bottom arm and lengthen both sides of the trunk toward your chest, and push into that back heel. And then up you come. And then you turn. And you have a seat. Brick goes to side 2, or you turn yourself. Make sure there's a brick nearby. Put the left thigh. And it's quite a bit of that left thigh needs to be on the chair. Most of it. In fact, I usually say to people, go right up to the back of the knee on that chair. I have to move my chair so that I can stretch my back heel, okay? So front heel is down, vertical, inner thigh parallel to the chair and the sticky mat, and then the left leg stretches back. You're leaning forward. You haven't come upright at first. Now, fuss around a bit and make sure your heels line up or the groins are in a position that you can manage what's happening. Groins and hips. You can't be sitting there just in abject pain. Okay. So, push those feet, thinking with the front heel. Stretch the back thigh to the heel. Push, sit your left buttock down on the chair seat. And buttock means that back hip. Don't roll to the groin. Take the buttock side down. And now pushing with the left hand, eject that trunk up and out of that leg, that hip, that pelvis. Get lift and length through the trunk. And you begin to turn, stretch your arm completely, so even that shoulder and chest feel the effect. Take the arm back, Shalabhasana-like, and then you can maybe bend your elbow and catch that chair and use that leverage to lift your trunk more. And here we go for the whole pose. The arm comes up. Oops, the hand comes down. Forgot that part. The hand comes down. Then the arm comes up. And the palm turns from the shoulder and the arm goes overhead. Now push that back heel into the floor. Lengthen. The core of this pose is this hip and waist area. This outer hip should spread toward your foot and toward your chest. Come up. I also forgot the Virabhadrasana to walk that heel further back now. Take that right leg. Then you come out. Turn your feet. Have a seat. So that upright pose with the hips open, that tilted side stretch, they're two different poses and they're just lovely. Now, stand up. Chairs aside. Do you have a wall available to you? A wall that you can put at your back? It can be a short wall. It doesn't have to be a full body length wall. This wall, I have it's a couple feet short, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so who I see has a wall. Good. So let's do with a brick or a chair. You can use a chair if there's a lot of stiffness or instability. You can take that chair. We're going to do Ardha Chandrasana with the back to a wall so we have time to stretch. Now, the chair isn't a requirement. Your arm could be straight on the brick if you see that the chair's not blocking the view. I've got my hand on a brick on the floor. Now I'm just tipping into the pose because it's comfy that way. Some of you, if the wall isn't, if the wall is just at your feet, you can put your foot at the wall and your hands on a chair seat. Now, if you put your foot on the wall, don't put the heel, put the toes so you can stretch through the heel so you've got some movement in that foot. Okay, so your turn, you stay in the pose if you can, come down, of course, if something is going wrong with the pose. Now rest on your elbow. Emilia, move the brick forward. Yes, open up this at least as much length between your foot and the brick as between your hip and your armpit. Now, child, make sure your foot is turned completely perpendicular to the wall. I can't see from the camera angle, but make sure. Now you can be on your hand or your elbow as you can. The more horizontal the trunk, the better. Now please come out, unless you're just getting in. Come out. If you're getting used to this, stay put for a little bit. Sometimes the pose actually feels better as the moments pass. Now let me say a thing or two about this for side 2. When you're in that pose, I was saying, and I'm pointing out now, the space between your foot and your wrist should be about the same length as your trunk. Don't take a closed pose. Take, if anything, slightly more open. So you have lots of space for the breath on that side of the body. So the other thing is, this standing thigh has to behave like dog pose. So I'm going to turn around for a second. So you see, this outer thigh really needs to move back in the same way when you were in that pose on the chair seat. This buttock was sitting on the chair heavily. You want this thigh as if it is sitting on a chair seat heavily. It's moving to that chair seat, and the hand is coming forward, and the trunk is being drawn out of the pelvis. So go for side 2 with this sense of thighs back and pelvis extending out of those hips. There is a point of, diminishing returns, getting that brick too far forward, but opening that side chest is lovely. Emilia, that looks good. Chaya, that looks good. Press your left thigh back and roll the pelvis so that right groin comes up more. Karen Higgins, good. Stretch through your inner foot more. If I see correctly. Can't tell Linda, but sisters do it good. If you could raise the foot up without knocking the picture off the wall. Good. Come out carefully and stand in Tadasana, just being there. Okay. Chair. You want your chair near a wall or a table or a bookshelf that's about shoulder height when you are sitting. So let's see if I can make this go to this side. So I've got this lovely thing here, this bar wall. This is my rope wall and my bar wall. This is my big prop here. And I can use it all kinds of ways, but you need a wall behind you. It doesn't have to be a bar wall. It can be a regular sheetrock wall. so you can touch it, get support at about shoulder height. Okay, so I guess I'll stay that way so you can see. So I'm sitting about halfway on the chair. I'm not all the way to the back of the chair. I'm halfway forward, let's say. And my feet are flat and hip width. And I'm gonna pull up tall, once again, sitting those thighs down and pulling the trunk up tall. Now, you're gonna turn to your right. I'm gonna turn toward you, but apart from that, I'm gonna say your right and your left. So, your left hand crosses over the chair back, and the forearm, left forearm pushes down to give you some lightness in the chest. And your right arm at first is holding the chair seat behind you. And you pull on it to lift your chest. And you pull on it to move that shoulder back and shoulder down. This is like doing Tadasana with that straight arm, except you're using a prop and getting a bit of an assist. Pull up those ribs and then see if you can turn the ribs, not turning the hips. When you turn that leading shoulder, your right shoulder is doing the second shoulder position. Now reach back for the wall. If it's too close, it'll push you toward the chair. If it's too far away, you have to lean away with the straight elbow. It should be in a position where you can spread toward the wall with a bent elbow. Now pull your trunk up tall and then bend your elbows, turn. This right elbow should be levering backwards toward the wall behind you. Come out slowly, very tall. Look down quickly and see how your legs went askew, because they went a little or a lot, and that's normal. I'm not addressing it right now, so don't worry, just notice. And a good thing about a sticky mat on the chair seat is it kind of keeps you from going overboard, sliding on the chair. Pull your trunk up tall, change sides. Now it's the right hand that crosses over, and you pull up tall again, and then the left hand comes behind you to the chair seat. So the right arm is pushing down to give you lift, and the left arm is pulling. It's odd, but that roll of the left shoulder and activation through the shoulder blade also gives you lift. It's pulling down gives you upward lift, gives you room to grow. So take that second Shalabhasana shape, rolling that arm bone back and turn. And then stretch your arm to the wall behind you. Shoulder height, elbow bend. And use your new leverage to find more height in the trunk. And turn as well as you can. Anybody who experiences low back pain, unwind the twist, de-rotate till there is no pain, and reset those hips super firmly, especially both of them. two different reasons, the one you're moving toward, the one you're moving away from. And release then and come out. Face forward. Are you okay? Hold a thumb up if you're okay. All right. So I want to twist more. Let's see if we can get on. Oh, after I would need to do a back bend before we do another twist. So here's my idea of a back bend. It's Bhujangasana. Now, if the floor is for you hard, put a blanket down. So your pubis, your pelvic bones in front are padded. If your padding is fine, then please don't worry. I don't need this padding today. So you lie. This is Bhujangasana, and I don't know if worn is the right word, but we're gonna do this 10 whole times. 10 whole times. So that means you get to warm up to it, and you get to learn your own shape and feel as you go. So that means there's a progression to this. Right? You start with the hands forward and the legs stretching behind you. They can be slightly apart, but not wide. When you come up, even before you come up, you do that thing. You pull your trunk, elongate it out of the pelvis. So I'm stretching my legs and my trunk is long. And this side pelvis here is trying to get longer. Now when I go to Shalabhasana, I move my shoulders back and I push with the hands just to coil. And I go back down. So, and I go back up. So the movement is to imagine that you're moving your spine, coiling it backward towards your feet. Coiling it backward towards your feet. You don't have to go as fast as I did. You can give your arms a rest. You can also, as this pose develops, maybe as the spine opens, you can move your hands a little further back so the coiling is a little deeper. Now, don't go up again until you have prepared yourself. Make sure the legs are stretched. If you are pushing up into a compressive pain, then you need to reconsider what you're doing. If that pain repeats itself, then you must stretch your legs more. You might have to move your hands forward toward shoulders instead of back toward hips. Now, the next one you do, stay there for a while. You come up and be there. Don't look toward me. Take your shoulders back as if you wanted to move your shoulders back toward your heels. Breathe. And go back down. Okay, so with it now, complete your 10 if you have not done 10. Otherwise, you're done. So you don't have to answer me. This is not the sort of circumstance where everybody can answer, but you have to answer in your own mind. You did 10 of those. You did, was the progression worse or toward better? Were the sensations, it was okay, so there's a couple of thumbs up, that's good, yay. All right, thank you. You don't have to give me feedback, you have to answer your own questions. Were you able to alter your actions to improve the pose? Were your senses sharper toward the end or toward the beginning? You need to be more in your experience than you are in my instructions. If I say do something 10 times, this is telling you, you must evolve yourself. That's the way to put it. You get 10 efforts to figure out what's really happening. Okay, another twist. Is it a twist? Yes, it's a twist. So you probably need blankets. 1 or 2. You need enough height to sit comfortably with your legs tucked for Bharadvajasana, because that's where Bharadvajasana gives us a chance to do a back bend again. So you will sit on enough height that you can take your left foot to your right side in swastikasana and your right foot on top of the left. Oh, wait. This is the right foot for you. I want your feet to your left side. So right foot to the left and the left foot in virasana on top of the right foot in swastikasana. So if I said that backwards, I apologize. It happens. And you can expect it to happen again. So now you got to find out how crooked you are. Everybody's crooked. Are you painfully crooked? If you are painfully, like something is going wrong in the knee or the hip or the lower back, take more height. There's no punishment for not too much height. There's physical punishment for too little height. Now, here you are. Take this virasana foot and push the little toe side of the foot down. Right where I'm pointing, there's a long bone of the fifth toe. It's what people like to break sometimes when they say they broke their foot. The most common place to break is that outer foot bone. Anyway, foot bone wants to see if it can roll and press toward the floor. Any part of it can be the toe end, but work through the leg to put that little toe on the floor. Not your finger, not your arm, but the leg itself. sitting to that buttock. That's the lifted buttock. So pushing that foot down is going to connect you and make it easier for you to sit that buttock down. And pull your trunk up out of that. Take this backside, left hand, up to Urdhva Hastasana. Take the right hand behind you to the floor or the blanket and stretch up. Push that little toe down. Sit your buttock down, stretch the arm up, and then cross over, hold the opposite knee, turn. Okay? Turn away from your feet, lifting your trunk up as if you're thinking about Bhujangasana again, cobra pose that you just did. Now keep your head level, look toward your knees, that would be the camera, and this ear, your right side up to the right ear, lift it up so your ear goes as high to the ceiling as you can get it, and turn, head up, turn. And then come out. So it should feel like you're skirting the edge of a back bend. And if you got your chest up high enough, you would do a back bend. Okay. If your chest comes high enough, your throat will go back comfortably. If your twist is twisted enough and your chest is high enough. So don't tempt fate and crick your neck, but lift your chest. We're changing sides. Sit as level as you can manage under the circumstances. Make certain that your knees are comfortable. Now it's that Virasana foot again. You have to go to that metatarsal and press it heavily to the floor. I fuss with my toes, with my fingers to straighten my foot out. And then the foot itself has to press. Sit the buttock down, lift your trunk up, and here we go. Urdhva Hastasana with the, let's see, I guess this is your left hand down and your right arm up, full extension. Lift your chest. Press the foot down. Sit the buttock down. Make these two sides of the trunk equally long so you're not swaying here. You are pulling that right side up. Now you cross over. And you arrange this back hand, maybe a brick under the hand. Maybe hold the blanket and pull your chest up. And turn. The head does not come up yet. Get the chest up, push your little toe down, turn. The chest starts feeling like a back bend is happening. Shoulder blades coming into those back ribs. And if with the head in line with the sternum, turn your head towards your knees and lift that left ear. And then come upright. Turn the ribs more. And if the chest lifts, take the head back if that throat is comfortable. And come out carefully. Level the head. And then unwind the twist. So that back bend in the neck is only going to happen if those shoulder blades are deeply in and turning those ribs, that's when the neck gets comfortable. Out you come. Stretch your legs. You can sit on your blanket or on the floor. It's your flexibility. Take this pose, Upavishta Konasana, seated angle pose. Okay. So you don't want to be unnaturally wide there. Don't strain your poor groins, but nice and wide. Stretch your legs. Toes up to the ceiling. Back thighs, back knees, back calves to the floor. Left hand, right hand on the, well, you're going to your right side. So the right hand is on the floor. The left arm goes up to the ceiling. Your left buttock presses down. So you super lengthen this left side. And then turn toward the right side. And it depends on your flexibility. If you're stretchy, catch your foot. If you're not stretchy, go to the floor. The left hand braces. The back leg stretches, the front leg stretches. You pull your trunk up away from the pelvis. Don't go towards your foot with the hunchback. Pull back and try to come up out of the pelvis. Now catch with two hands. And now, as you are able and comfortable, extend over that leg. Any amount. Use your hands on the floor. Only let the head down if that's where your flexibility puts you. This is fine. Create extension and use your breathing to help you observe yourself. Come up slowly. Now reset the pose if you went sort of askew in any way. Then left hand back behind you. Right arm comes up to the ceiling and you're vertical at this point, not leaning and not turning. Stretch your legs, lift your trunk. You begin the turn, keep with that trunk out of the pelvis. And then lean out with that floor hand, bracing hand toward your foot and reach long. Floor, foot, doesn't matter. Long, whatever long is for you. Now press that back leg, front leg, thighs down. Lift your trunk out of the hips, turn. Face that left foot. Catch with two hands. Pull up tall again. And exhaling, come forward according to your capacity. Taking the support with the floor and the legs. And of course, it is fine to come out perfect. And everybody come. Sit up straight. Make sure you're okay. And then help the inner knees, taking the legs out. blankets, blankets, blankets. Linda, do you have enough for 2? You need a bolster and a blanket, or 3 or 4 blankets. A bolster and a blanket. And a wall. Here's a bolster. Now you need a little spacer between the bolster and the wall, so a brick on its narrow width makes a good proper spacer for between the bolster and the wall. Now if you're using a stack of blankets, instead of folding the blankets narrow like this, in this long rectangle shape, instead of that, make them in this more square rectangle shape. And if you can see this bolster plus brick, when I put this blanket on top of it, it's pretty much the same dimension. So if you don't have a bolster, then you just put these rectangular blankets down on the floor and you'll get the right depth. If you're using a bolster, and it's a proper thickness bolster, a bolster plus a blanket is usually good. If you're working only with blankets, you might need 3. And if the blankets are a little thin, you might need 4. And then you might want something, I'm just using, actually, this is a napkin, to keep my head off the sticky mat, to keep my hair off the sticky mat. So it's Viparita Karani. And the reason I like this pose is A, everybody can do it. And B, it is the least stressful of all the inversion cycle for people of any capacity or ability to do. So it's just your all-purpose, along with being sort of extra beneficial in this time of COVID, which is where a time when we need to nurture the immune system and our psychological state of well-being may be more than usual, just because of the intensity of the circumstances. So you're going into this making sure your buttocks stay on the wall. So I just rolled it there sideways to make that happen. And if you can see, my buttocks are on the wall. And the depth of the blanket keeps that diaphragm lifted and kind of fanned out, which is a very helpful thing. Okay? The diaphragm is in almost this tilted upward facing fan, big expanded rib cage. And the shoulder blades tuck down away from the ears. And you get in this position where the sides of the neck are long and soft. And the shoulder blades are tucked deeply. If you are lifted high enough in your chest in this pose, there is a natural opening of the armpits and the top of the lung. Now, the worst thing this pose can be is painful. Just, it's obnoxious to be in this pose painfully. Yes, Linda's sister, good choice to remove that blanket. Good. When you're new at this chest opening business, it's not so easy to be comfortable like this. Now, it's almost the end of class. You do not have to, it's a few minutes. I'm going to talk a bit and then I'm going to end class. And you are more than welcome to just stay as you are. I will sign out, the camera will turn off, nobody will be watching, and you're at home. You don't have to move. What I want to say is this time of COVID leads us to a home practice. And this is going to continue for a while, given how yoga teachers and students wind up in very close contact, especially in Iyengar type classes, and heavy breathing occurs. Anyway, it's all the wrong things for an airborne virus. So we'll be having classes online at a distance. People have been speaking about their dislike of the distancing that this circumstance brings us. And I just want to call you back to the history of yoga. And a couple of things might make you feel better about this. First of all, most of you have had some years exposure to a teacher, and you've had that kind of person-to-person contact with a teacher. So you know what that's like, and it's left an imprint. But in the history of yoga, there is always a time when the practitioner goes into retreat, literal retreat. So the yogi in the cave, in the mountains, or in the hut in the forest, away from everyone, is a serious method of training. So what's the key there? The key there is, and this is the tradition too, you have learned with your eyes and your ears. You have heard and you have seen. And you have learned by hearing and seeing. And then when you practice, you go into your cave, which is kind of like where you are right now. And you practice what you have seen and heard. There's a lot more to this seen and heard. But the point is, you pick up information in these classes through your eyes and your ears. The thing that's missing is that physical contact, which for most of you has already happened. There's already an imprint. So you can take this COVID experience as a time to an appropriate time to go into your cave, your retreat, and experience what you have seen and heard. Okay. You can stay put. I'm going to say namaskar and sign out.